My hope for 2024 is that Trump and Governor DeSantis of Florida will slug it out for the Republican nomination. Trump has turned into a pitiful figure, continually bemoaning his loss in 2020. Big Republican donors are abandoning him in droves. DeSantis is shrewd, ruthless, and ambitious. He is likely to be a Republican candidate.
Cuando lo vi yo, dije, ¿qué? Me quedé como, what the ¿esto es real? Dije yo, ¿esto es real? Bueno.
Yes, I created this video few weeks ago. I could not post it because of something I cannot mention on this video. If you notice, most of the videos I put out here, I don't talk about conspiracy theories. I always like to react on videos I have seen and confirm they are okay. When you take a look at this article, I recently came across Soros Foundations on brink of collapse as millions rise up against the new war. The Soros Foundation is firing most of its workforce and closing offices in cities across the globe as millions of people rise up and reject the new war. Okay, these are words that even a platform like this suppress. There is an interview Elon Musk had with Joe Rogan. He called out this Soros. Before we even go into this article, take a look at this.
And Soros, I don't know. I mean, he had a very difficult upbringing, in my opinion, he fundamentally hates humanity. That's my opinion.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, he's doing things that erode the fabric of civilization. You know, getting DAs elected who refuse to prosecute crime. That's part of the problem in San Francisco and LA and much other cities. So why would you do that?
Was it humanity, or is it just the United States as a whole?
I mean, he's pushing things in other countries too, not just here.
Same thing.
Yeah. Now, George at this point is pretty old. I mean, he's not, you know, he's basically a bit senile at this point. But I mean, he's very smart, and he's very good at arbitrage. You know, famously he shorted the British pound. That's sort of how I think he made his first money, was shorting the pound. So he's good at spotting, basically arbitrage, like spotting value for money that other people don't see. So one of the things he noticed was that that the value for money in local races is much higher than it is in national races. So the lowest value for money is a presidential race. Then next lowest value for money is a Senate race, then a Congress, and but once you get to sort of city and state district attorneys, the value for money is extremely good. And Soros realized that you don't actually need to change the laws, you just need to change how they're enforced. If nobody chooses to enforce the law, or the laws are differentially enforced, it's life changing.
Yes, this is Elon Musk actually exposing this man for who he is. He was bold enough to call them out. It has reached that level, you know, people are not sleeping. They are rising up. There is a clip I recently put out where the mainstream media is collapsing.
The entire journalism industry is basically in a free fall. Today, the Los Angeles Times laid off 115 employees. They wiped out their entire DC bureau in an election year. They laid off pretty much all of their sports teams. They killed their entire tech and business section. They laid off breaking news writers, social media editors. The list goes on. But what's really dark is this is just the latest in months and months and months of layoffs in the media industry. In fact, tens of thousands of journalists have been laid off in the past year. Major media companies like BuzzFeed News have completely shuttered their news operations. Time magazine also just laid off a ton of people, and Sports Illustrated basically shut down last week. Pretty much the entire digital media ecosystem that myself and a lot of other millennial journalists came up in has been completely hollowed out. And it's not just digital media sites. Local news has been obliterated. The newspaper industry is cratering. Radio is essentially essentially dead aside from NPR, which has been gutted. Meanwhile, hundreds of workers at Condé Nast, the parent company of pretty much every major magazine from GQ to Vogue to The New Yorker to Vanity Fair, are on strike because they're also facing impending layoffs. Even mainstream national media outlets owned by billionaires like The Washington Post, where I work, and The Atlantic, where I used to work, have done layoffs. If you're a young journalist today, there's almost no on-ramp to traditional journalism. Even if you do get a job, journalists' salaries have been stagnant and even declined. And by the way, we don't make that much to begin with. I don't think people understand how bad the world would be without journalists.
Things like this are happening. When you look through this article, Soros Open Society Foundation is being forced to undergo its second restructuring in just 3 years. This means the Far-Left group will be slashing its global staff by over half. The Globalist Organization Board of Directors had decided over the summer to fire employees and close offices around the world, according to leaked emails obtained by Bloomberg. Okay, what made me believe this story was Bloomberg. Because when you look at certain articles like this, I don't really, trust that source. I had to click to see if the information was alright. It is true. Why is this happening? A lot of these places are collapsing. In 2024, I don't know what is suddenly happening with the decision by the board to cut the staff by more than 40%. Our staffing size and footprint by necessity need to diminish. OSF Vice President Program Benifa declared in one of the emails sent by Bloomberg, we no longer have the bandwidth to operate multiple small offices, and thus the decision to further reduce our locations. NNN report after the latest cut, OSF staff will be fewer than 500. The organization employed nearly 1,700 people as recently. Bloomberg listed 6 OSF offices in Africa that will be left with no employees and will be closed by the end of the year. The outlet noted that Inside Philanthropy had reported that more than a dozen offices across Africa and Asia had been removed from a list on the organization website. Okay, this should actually tells you a lot about Africa, how they are rising up against people like this. At a certain point, it was difficult to actually convince someone in Africa like these organizations are not okay. But when you look at things recently, everything is collapsing. They are rising up. They are seeing the truth. Offices in Barcelona, in Baltimore were also being shut down. Bloomberg reported African Executive Director Motoni told staff in an email, I'm very sorry that it turned out this way. It is obviously not what any of us expected. I'm sorry that I didn't have the information on this earlier in what may have been a better note. Wanky noted that the cut ran contrary to what the organization leadership had committed 2 years ago.
Wait. Watch this.
When the president is in East Palestine, will he drink the water there?
I hate my job.
I mean, look,